Good evening. Welcome to those of you who just finished watching Hammer Shots. I don't know who won because I wasn't watching the show, but congratulations to somebody. Did you see it, Sully? Did you see who won?
No, I didn't.
Okay, guys, Sully was watching to see when it ended so we could go on. So I didn't see who won. Anyway, welcome to American Hammers TV, part of the American Hammers Network. Welcome to West Ham Wednesday Night, which is the show I named because I'm a marketing professional, and that's what I do for a living. I come up with clever titles, clever promotional items. Anyway, if you haven't seen our show before, I'll go through a little spiel we always do. Check out our website, AmericanHammers.net. A lot of cool stuff you can buy there without spending money with Gold, Sullivan, and Brady. You can like and subscribe, please. Of course, that'd be great if you do that. If you haven't done it already, and then if you have done it, tell a friend, tell a Hammers friend, tell a fellow Hammer to like and subscribe. I see people in the chat room already filing in. This is good. This is good news. If you want to be on the show, if you want to host a show, if you want to be part of the network, AmericanHammers.net or it's AmericanHammersTV@gmail.com. I think that'll go right to Tim, who runs everything, and he'll get you in. We are always looking for content, always looking for new people to come on. So don't be shy. Come be a part of it. It's a lot of fun. Takes your mind off of everything. It's a good deal. Tonight we have a superb crowd. We have defending. Well, not defending because you don't get to defend, but we have the Hammer Shots champion from the first season, John Nolan, in the city of brotherly love. That's Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We have David down in one of my favorite places in the world, San Antonio, Texas. One of my honeymoon there. I got called ma'am. You know, I had the long hair and I didn't have the beard. I got called ma'am at a hotel in San Antonio while I was on my honeymoon. I didn't mind. It's fine. I mean, I can handle that. My ego can handle that. In fact, I took it as a compliment to the hair. And of course, from Colorado, from Boulder, it's Sully. How you doing, Sully?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. Good to see everybody.
Yeah, good to see all you guys. So let's talk about, before we get to Fulham and the great footballing legend, the icon who manages Fulham, the West Ham, the West Ham icon who manages Fulham, Scott Parker, probably my favorite West Ham player of all time. Although Mikel Antonio is creeping up on him. Before we get to Fulham, I know it's been a very tense week. It's been a very tense couple of days here in this country. Everybody's been waiting for the results of Mikel Antonio's hamstring scan. We don't know them yet. We may not know them for a couple of days, so you just hang tight, okay? That's how it works, all right? Just hang tight. We'll know if he's available for Sheffield United soon enough. But going back to Fulham, going back to Liverpool, give me your thoughts. I'll tell you very quickly what I thought. Not a bad performance at all. Continued a string of good performances that I think we started with Arsenal and have continued ever since. I think Mo Salah took a dive that cost us a point potentially. I do not think we can continue to use Sebastian Haller the way we used him. And I'm a little concerned about what we do without our engine and our spark, Mikel Antonio, in the side. But I didn't think that we lacked effort or organization. I thought we, put up a decent fight, made a couple too many mistakes, got a little bit unlucky with the penalty that probably wasn't a penalty, even though Jurgen Klopp has let us know Salah had a bruise. He had a bruise. That is a sure sign of a penalty if you have a bruise. I mean, you guys understand that. That's how football works. So yeah, not displeased, a little disappointed not to grab a point from that performance, but not displeased overall against the champions. John, what was your take out of Anfield, empty Anfield?
I think you're more likely to find 1 million ballots cast for Donald Trump in the city of Philadelphia than you are to find bruises on Mo Salah's ankles after that challenge, to be completely honest. So it's great being in the center of the universe. We should let everybody know.
If you're English and you don't know about Philadelphia, it is demographically not a city that's likely to go for Donald Trump.
No, not at all. I think he's got 19% of the vote there so far.
Right.
Yeah, lots to be positive about. I agree with you, Lee. I think we carried on that string. That's great.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think we carried on that great run of form that we've been doing. We looked solid at the back, which was great. Seeing Cresswell, I think a standout player in that game as well. He played really well. The resurgence of him, that storyline. I think you've mentioned it before, Lee.
Absolutely.
Fantastic
Every time, every show, because I love Aaron Cresswell. Every show I mention it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's good. I took a lot of positives from it. There's a real argument, I think, that both of Liverpool's goals probably shouldn't have stood.
I agree. That's a good point. Mane is surely obstructing Fabianski on that second goal, right? He's standing right in front of him.
He is, and I really put that goal down to Fabianski, who probably should have kicked up a bit more of a fuss about it. I mean, if Salah can throw himself and remonstrate, and that's what gets decisions, then we probably have to play a little bit dirty ourselves and do a bit of that. Not necessarily falling all over the place, but you got to bring the ref's attention to certain things that are happening. A simple point and yell from Fabianski of my view was blocked could have at least got a review or something like that. So.
It's like in hockey. It's the screen in hockey, right? I mean, you see this all the time. You set one of your forwards up in front of the goalie, and he can't see the puck, and I mean, so you have to have one of your defensemen come and clear the guy out of the way. I mean, it's what it looked like to me. He's standing in front of him. He's standing in the path of his viewing angle of the ball. But I mean, again, my thought with Liverpool with Anfield is you have to be almost perfect to win there, and then you have to be lucky on top of that, and we were not either one of those things, So anyway, David, I'm sorry, John, were you done, or I didn't mean to cut you off?
No, I'm good. Go ahead.
All right, David, what was your feeling about Anfield?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think everybody is on board with this. Yes, what Salah did was absolutely criminal. He needs to be given a card, retroactively for that. There needs to be some sort of action against that sort of stuff. The same thing in the Tottenham game I watched. It was Kane and someone else, dived all over the bloody place.
Oh, Kane is going to kill somebody with this back it in stuff.
Yeah,
that he's doing. Yeah, that's got to stop. Yeah, but you're right. There was a dive in that game. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and then like you said, there's half a shot at least. If we're being a bit objective. It's one that could go either way with the goal.
Yeah.
With obstructing the view and stuff, but I think there was a penalty shot that we had that was it wasn't a clear cut thing, but I seem to remember we missed out on one. Didn't even get looked at,
Didn't even get looked at. Well, it's never going to get looked at, and that's what I mean by when you go to Anfield, you have to be almost perfect and a little bit lucky, and we didn't come up in either category. Selly, what were your thoughts? Selly, you got to unmute yourself, my friend.
I wasn't able to watch the game live, but I didn't even know I pressed the button.
It's okay.
But I went back and saw the highlights and everything, and it's funny because the last show that I was on, there were two things that I was saying before the game, and one of them was that I don't think that the team was going to come in and play scared against Liverpool based on how they performed last year.
Yeah.
And they came in, they got a goal in 10 minutes. And then the second thing that I said was it would be nice to see Fornals take his chances, and he's the one who scored the goal. So I was happy to see him go on the score sheet.
Agreed.
And from what I did see, it didn't seem as if it didn't look as if we played like, we're playing at Anfield against Liverpool. It seemed like we played our game. We were playing our style of what we're now used to. It's unfortunate. I know the Salah flop, it shocker, I guess, is all I can really say for that. But, it was good to see them fight. And I think the question for the team moving forward is, can they do that against, the Fulhams and the smaller team?
Absolutely. Because as we know, it's very West Ham to turn up against the big clubs. And we have, to be fair, we turned up against City. The Arsenal performance was good, even though we didn't win. There was another situation there where, there was there not a penalty shot for us against Arsenal? I can't remember. I'm telling you.
That's insane. Yes.
I don't have much memory of the last few weeks. It's all a bit swimmy, but anyway, point being, Yeah, we turned up against Arsenal. We turned up against Liverpool. We beat Wolves. We beat Leicester, a very good Leicester team, by the way. Drew with City. I mean, 8 points out of that run of 7 games. Nobody can be unhappy with that. If you're unhappy with that, you've never watched West Ham, you know. But now the challenge, right? Because we go to, I guess they come to us, but we play Fulham. They've just had one win. They're off the bottom of the table. They've just, had their first Premier League win of the season. They're going to have a little bit of confidence. And this is the type of game where I can see us absolutely laying an egg, just absolutely coming out flat, doing what we do against teams like this. I don't know. We'll get to full-on predictions later, but one thing I wanted to talk about is Sebastian Haller, and I wanted to get a feel for you as to his performance on Saturday, because a lot of people he is polarizing the West Ham fan base. All right, I think at least the social media West Ham fan base. You get, and I just had this discussion on our Facebook Messenger chat like a couple of hours ago.
Yeah, it was a quality discussion too. It
was a pretty good discussion with Jim, who comes on our network sometimes, with, I don't know which one of the Garys it is. It's one of the Garys. Anyway, I will tell you how I feel about Haller. I understand that we're not putting him in a position that he likes. I understand that he doesn't like being isolated. I personally don't see the effort from him that I'd like to see. And, I feel that a lot of other players, when you look at an Antonio, or you look at a Masuaku, or you look at Souček or Tufal, I mean, he doesn't look like those guys to me in terms of the effort he puts out. On the other hand, I get that he's not getting the service he expects. My question is, what do you do? What do you do with him? We don't really have anybody else to play up there. Yarmolenko is really out of form, and it was pretty much at fault for the second Liverpool goal. I don't want to see him really in the starting 11. You'd have to wedge a Bowen in there, or somebody who's not really a striker. He's really all we have. What do you do with him? Do you change the formation? And how do you change formation? Yeah, David, go ahead.
So I think so. Has Haller underdelivered? Yes. Is he the sort of player that needs to have a run of games in order to deliver? Yes. Does he look unenthusiastic because that's just the way he's wired? Yes. Even when he was at the top of his game, and he's banging in goals left and right, his celebrations are very subdued.
That's
he's
true.
A very measured person. He's not going to be the super energetic nut job. Like, he's not a Di Canio type. You know what I mean?
No, he's not. That's true.
But having said that, where he's really excelled is when he's had good service from wide areas. The way that I would go about doing that, and I know with his form at the moment, this is probably going to be an unpopular opinion. Fornals has to come off the left, and I think we need what's his name, Ben Rama, in there, because he's the sort of bang it around the channel and stick a ball across the box player that we need in there for Haller.
If you look at the chat room, they're all going to agree with you. I think everybody over there was not impressed with Fornals despite the goal on Saturday. I don't know. I haven't really caught up with all the comments, but yeah, I think Well, okay. Let's Sully, what do you think?
I think when it comes to Sebastian Haller, I think a fault with him is it kind of alludes to a bigger fault for the club in the terms of how we got Sebastian Haller. Great. We're all excited. He played really well in Germany. The team he played on did really well and had a bit of success in Germany. But we got him with no plan of what to do with him. And not only did we not have a plan of what to do with him, we bought a 2-system striker, made him the only striker, and gave away everybody else that could have been a partner for him.
That is what we did.
A thing that's really interesting too was, this past week, I guess since the Liverpool game, I saw a couple of things saying that the club were prepared to make some 50 million plus pound bid for his running partner in Germany.
Joe.
Which I mean, the only reason he'd want to come here is to play with Haller, because he's Real Madrid right now. Why would you leave Real Madrid? And
because you're not playing enough. That's all. That'd be the only
Yeah,
reason.
that's fair.
Yeah.
You make a good point. So but I mean, will we get him and just sit him? Is my biggest fear.
We won't get it. You know, we won't spend that kind of money on him.
No, I know that we won't, and I guess I'm just speaking hypothetically.
Of course,
I won't make it too long, but if we were to get him, fantastic. Will we play him? Will we play a 2-striker system? Because I don't think that's more his style. Which is unfortunate, but I think we always buy players with just no plan. We're just like, okay, let's buy him, throw him at the team, and see.
David Sullivan. That's how we. Yeah. Well, listen, and remember, Aller was a panic buy, right? Because we missed out on Maxi Gomez. Maxi Gomez was the target all summer, and when he didn't come, when he went to wherever he went, Valencia, wherever it was.
Yeah, Valencia.
All of a sudden, we were like, we got to pull somebody to get the fans to renew their season tickets. You know what I mean? We got to do something. So they went out and got Aller, who, look, I mean, is a very talented footballer. I don't question his talent at all. I question right now whether he wants to be at West Ham or not, because I don't think he likes the system he's playing in.
Sure.
But I don't like players who behave that way. I'm sorry, I don't. I like players who put out effort, even if they're not completely content with how we're using them. So I am probably more critical of Aller than most people. But I've noticed there's been a real rift between the Aller crowd and the sort of anti-Aller crowd, and it seems kind of almost like 50-50. John, what do you think?
I'm going to agree with David and I'm going to disagree with David. So when it comes to Aller, I agree with David. He needs a run of games. He has from now until Antonio's hamstrings join back together to cement his place as our first team striker.
Yeah.
If he's not banging in goals by that point, Antonio walks right back into the team and Heller is not even given another look for the rest of the season. Yeah. I mean, at that point, he's just a backup. He's got 5 games to prove himself, so he's got to get on it. Now, the things
I think he's got like 2 games. I think he's got like 2 games, personally. I really do. I think beyond that, it's anyway. Depending on when
if we had another striker, I'd agree with you. But it's just play the backup's backup at that point. Yeah. So I don't know what you do. But so in regards to celebration, his demeanor, Fornal scored and he threw his arms in the air. He celebrates more for other players' goals than he does his own. So I'm not into the argument that, he just, that's just the way he looks. I agree with that. It's just the way he looks.
Doesn't he walk a lot though? Doesn't he seem to walk a lot as opposed to, I it's not fair to compare to Antonio. They're different types of players, but I love the type of player Antonio is. Do you know what I mean?
He walks. So does Messi. Yeah, but Messi walks all the bloody time. I mean,
if he could start doing some things that Messi does, then I'll let him walk all he wants.
Well, that's what I'm getting to. Not that he's going to be the next Messi, but I think with a good run of games and against teams where we can impose our strategy instead of relying on counter-attack football, and where we can sit him between the D and the penalty spot, and he can just hang in and around that point and we can ping balls into him against Fulham, which is what we should be doing. There's no reason that he can't start picking up some goals and with that picking up some confidence. And this is where I'm going to disagree with David. I cannot drop Fornals. 2 goals, 2 assists the last 5 games. He's arguably our best performing player, or at least our most productive player. And our width on the left-hand side and those balls into the box are going to come from Masuaku because you need Bowen and you need Fornals to run the channels because Haller is not going to do it. They need to hold that ball up and they have to drop it back for Masuaku and drop it back for Kufel for them to be the ones swinging the balls into the box so that they can then get closer to Haller and be, second ball or knockdowns and all that kind of stuff. So
how do
I keep Fornals.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Oh, that was me hearing my own echo. Sorry, I apologize. I'm in my own head. I'm living rent free in my own head. So what would you do with the formation against Fulham? I mean, are you still talking 5 at the back? It seems that way with Kufal and Masuaku. How do we solve this problem up front with Aller not being isolated?
Yeah, I think you keep it the same, but I think that when we start playing teams where we can actually keep possession and not rely on the counter-attack as much, that'll allow us to get players closer to him, farther up the pitch, instead of them having to do a 50, 60-yard sprint to be in and around him because, our defenders are lobbing balls just up in the air. So
yeah,
I think just the type of opponent that we're going to play should allow us to play closer to the halfway line and in the opposition half than being pinned back
So it's
closer to
not so
our own
much. So
box.
you're thinking less about formation and more about execution, a different type of execution where we're going forward more than we would against a team where we're set up more defensively.
Well, it's a bit of both. So it's formation wise. I mean, if you look at the way Moyes is deploying the formation right now, Fornals is essentially either high left wing or second striker in the opponent's half, and he's tucking in as an extra left back in our own half. If we're not playing in our own half, we have more of an attacking formation, and we can play with that formation for longer. That's going to create more opportunities because the ball naturally, hopefully, is going to be in and around the center circle and in and around the other team's box instead of having to be more compact and relying on 50-yard runs to counterattack. We shouldn't be doing counterattacking. We should be controlling the ball and moving it around and, looking to swing those balls into the box to get it into Haller's head, to get it into Souček's head, to get it into, even Declan Rice maybe making forward runs. So, I think formations are so hit and miss and hypothetical half the time to what actually happens on the pitch because the game is so fluid that, I think that at the very least we'll just hopefully be a bit more on the front foot. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to congratulate Vernon for
Cheers, Ray.
This is a great quote. Anfield was playing "You Never Walk Alone." Arlo was saying, "I know it was Sam." That's funny. That's good. I like that a lot. Just wanted to make sure everybody saw that. David Selly. So, I personally don't think we should deviate from the formation we've been using because I think it works. Because clearly, 4 at the back was not working for us. 5 at the back seems to work a lot better. As you said, John, it's a matter of being insistent about it and pushing forward. David, what do you think? Do you use the same formation and do you go with Fornals on the left and just say, be more of an attacking player, or do you slot Benrahma in there? Remembering that Benrahma, to me, he's that new toy. He's a shiny new toy, but we don't have any idea if this guy's a Premier League player or not. Then again, he's played against Fulham a lot in the last, couple of seasons.
That's a good point.
If there's so I think we'll see. I think with Benrahma we'll see something a lot like we did with Bowen from Moyes. So he got a couple of minutes this last game. We've got a run of games now where these are the sort of games you can run players like that out. It's a little less risk. So I think we'll see maybe a half an hour out of him out of this game. It'll start with Fornals, but they'll chuck him on with half an hour. If he really impresses there, then we'll see more and more of him, I think. I'm excited to see him. He's the sort of player that we need on the left. The sort of player that I wanted to have Grady Diangana there. He's the sort of guy that will bang a ball around a defender and actually run at him. We need that. Bowen's got that on the right-hand side. If we got that on the left, we're deadly. We got good finishers in the team. We got players that are, really trying and playing for the team now. A little bit of dangerous pace behind them both sides. We're looking really good, I think. But yeah, don't change the formation at all.
So what you're saying is a lot like what John's saying. Keep the formation, just have more intent going forward, if that makes sense. Don't be such a counter-attacking side.
Bit more
press up,
and push the play up the field and just sit on them. Teams like Fulham, we can do that. I think against.
Well, they have a wretched defense. They really do. They have an awful defense, and they really have. They've really struggled. They did win, last week. They've really struggled. What about you, Selly? Are you a Fornals guy still, or would you like to see the new toy?
It's definitely for now starts for me because like everybody's been saying, he's been playing really well to start the season off. I don't think that's not a way that you reward good effort. Like if Benrahma was starting and Fornals came in and did well, and if Benrahma was healthy again, that'd be a different conversation. But no, I don't think you take Fornals out. I mean, you might be able to work it to where you put Fornals in a different spot and then bring Benrahma on. I mean, I don't know who necessarily you would take off. Maybe Masuaku at that point, even though he's been playing pretty well too.
It's been good.
But at the same time, like what we've been saying for the formation, I like it so much because it's been a formation to where our best players are able to play at their best ability. Yeah, Barnum behind Hallett could work. I do eventually
Oh.
see Barnum being a part of the starting 11.
I do
Sooner or
too.
later, but at the same time, I think our formation is great because it lets us compete with the big boys. So now we have to see what it does where we can impose our will for the smaller teams, because for this past game or for the past couple of games, with the exception of Tottenham, we've been able to handle most attacking pressure.
Yeah.
So true. Now, with the team that can't score any goals, they have a -7 goal differential right now. We have to be able to just keep the ball, and I think with the formation that we have, that shouldn't be a problem against the smaller teams.
Yeah, we usually, the way we set up, especially against the bigger teams, we usually go for like 35-40% possession. It's a counterattacking strategy, right? I mean, we're not trying to keep the ball. We're trying to, soak up pressure and hit on the counter. And if we don't have the majority of possession, that's fine. That's actually by design. But I'm with you guys. There's no reason to do that in this case against Fulham. I mean, we should have 75% possession in this game. Honestly,
yeah.
We should never let up. And I don't think that's going to happen. But that's the kind of style we should play. I don't know if Moyes is capable of doing that or if he's capable of getting his players to do that. But that could be how we sort of unlock Haller. The other thought I had is, you guys remember at the beginning of the season before we sold Grady, we had a couple of preseason friendlies, and Diangana was really linking up well with Haller. Like, they seem to have a real understanding. And I don't know, maybe Benrahma is a guy who steps in and does that and is more effective at that than Fornals is. Now, I like Fornals. I'm personally with John. I wouldn't pull a guy who just scored against Liverpool, a guy who's been one of our better players for the last few weeks. Some people in the chat room disagree. They didn't like his performance. I respect that. I thought it was good. But I'm wondering if Benrahma is the key that unlocks Haller, and if he can play that role that Diangana seemed to be playing earlier in the preseason.
That's possible. I mean, if I remember correctly, Diangana, those assists, at least one or two of them, seem to be from getting to the byline and pulling it back, and that's not Fornals. I mean, he's not going to be in that position. So
right.
if Benrahma is going to be that guy to get to the byline and start lobbing balls over or putting them backwards for an oncoming striker, then he's maybe more suited to Haller than Fornals is. And listen, hey, that'd be a great problem to have if there's more than one way that we can score goals and more than one striker scoring. Bring it on. That's great.
Yeah, if there's more than one setup, right? I mean, if you can have a setup where you have Antonio isolated up front and you have Fornals on the left, and then you can come at a different opponent with with Benrahma and Haller as a different combination, it gives us a little mystery. It's not as obvious as what we're going to do every time.
It's interesting to see if you would, you could work out a formation to see, you have like Benrahma on the left, Fornals in the middle, and Bowen on right. I think that in its own right could be very, very deadly. And then again, I think, you could drop Masuaku for that. But I think one thing that's been really good for Masuaku is the fact that he has so much knowledge playing in the back that he doesn't have any problem overlapping with Cresswell, in those gaps back there, because he knows what he's doing, So, but I think with Benrahma, we'd have to see what he does defensively to see if he would fit that spot. But at the same time, you're not going to know what you have in him until you use him. Like, we can look up YouTube highlights all the time. I saw we were linked with some center back.
Yeah, I think he's a young guy, isn't he? He's like an under 21 guy. I don't know if he's
going to be on the senior team or not, but
yeah, I'm not sure he will to start with anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, any player that
Danish,
you can always find. Yeah, you can always find positive highlights and hope that it works out for your team. And I think this would be a good game to see him get warmed up to the club and to see him possibly be able to shine. Since Fulham, as we've said, isn't that great right now.
Yeah, I mean, I toss this around in my mind a lot because this is all I ever think about. But no, so what we did against Liverpool was basically just Antonio for Haller swap,
Yeah.
And it didn't really work. I mean, not really. We didn't have a bad performance and all that, but I mean, it didn't work for Haller. So I'm hesitant to do that again and say, well, just play more forward this time. because I don't know if that gets it done. Maybe it is time to, Lee says, Beta Lee. I'm the Alpha Lee, of course. No, I'm just joking. Lee says, time to take. Maybe it is time to take over the team a little bit. I mean, we've had a major injury. We've had our kind of talisman go out here for a couple of weeks. Maybe it's time to do more than just swap in a player for him. It makes sense if you think about it. I'm contradicting what I said 5 minutes ago, but it does make sense if you think about it.
I think if you start taking Heller out to starting 11 now when he's our only striker, then you really have to start looking at selling him in January, because what's the point of him being here?
No question. Yeah.
If he's legitimately your only striker, because I don't know if you can classify Antonio as a striker, you have to look at sending him away. Now, will they sell him for a proper amount? Doubt it. But at the same,
they won't get $45 million for him. Not in January.
Yeah. Oh no. But I mean, at the same time, you can't. How do you go to the one striker who's your club record signing and be like, you're just not cutting it? Because he has shown, at least in preseason, the cup games, that he can be viable. He just hasn't done it now. But like we said too, is the run of games. He scored in 2 consecutive cup games, and he scored in each one of the preseason games that he was in, I believe. Now, granted, he did have really good service from Diangana in those games, or I guess maybe not the cup games, but at least in preseason.
The cup games were against League One teams too. Let's be fair. The cup games were against.
Yeah. I mean, the preseason wasn't against anybody too stiff either. But
no, it wasn't.
I'm just saying. You can't get out of him, because it'd be one thing if he wasn't scoring goals against those teams either.
No, you're right. I listen. I mean, I think the guy has obvious skill. I do. I mean, to me, I don't really mind how much he celebrates after he scores or somebody else scores. It's the celebration part doesn't really bother me. It's the effort. I don't want to see him turn into Felipe Anderson. I don't want to see him turn into a guy who's displeased with the club, doesn't want to be at the club. Anyway, David, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just commenting. You said you don't want to see him turn into somebody else. I said, who's shit?
Right, exactly. No. I mean, look. I'll tell you the thing about Felipe too is you've noticed he's not even playing for Porto. His manager, he got to Porto, and his manager immediately said, "This guy, he's not putting out any effort. He's got nothing." I don't know what his problem is. All right, I hope he gets it fixed for his sake as a footballer and also as a West Ham player. Eventually, maybe down the line again. I hate to see this happen to talented players, but for whatever reason, Anderson has just lost it. I don't want to see Haller be that guy. I don't want to see him be the guy who brings the team down by slumping around. I mean, you tell me. Forget about how he celebrates or doesn't celebrate. Does he put out the effort you think he needs to put out? Is it all just that we're not using him correctly, or do you ever look at him and think you could give us more?
Here's the thing. He's good enough. His technique, his awareness when he's in the box and stuff like that. When he's had the opportunities in the service, he puts them away.
Yeah,
it's not like he's sort of banging everything wide of the post, or sending it to the freaking rosette. He's when the ball's in the right spot, he's putting it away, right? So he's got to have some sort of skill to his game, right? He's got positional awareness. He's in the right places at the right times to score, and he knows where to put the ball. He's not the kind of dynamo that he's not like an Antonio where he's going to run at the defense and run him ragged and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He's a different type of player. For the type of player he is, he's right. I think he just needs service.
Is there another player on our team you would prefer to have in a goal scoring opportunity than Haller?
Bowen.
It's the only one close, right?
First name that came to my mind was Bowen, yeah, and he's the only one.
Only one close.
We
got to. I mean, is the problem just getting him in goal scoring opportunities?
Yeah. No, I agree. I think one thing for me, whether the effort is there or not, I think Haller is one of those few players that we haven't had probably since, I guess, even Arnautovic, who can legitimately create anything out of nothing.
Yep.
And as a striker, that's a brilliant thing to have. And I think it's just like when we had Chicharito. Chicharito's a phenomenal striker, but we didn't play to his style.
Sure didn't.
And you have to be able to adapt as a team to play in the system that benefits everybody and not just, a handful of players. Because it seems as if the system that we're in right now suits everybody but Haller. And,
Yeah, it does. It does.
Whether he doesn't have a second partner up front, because you think about it, last year before the COVID break started, we were playing two up top, and we were playing pretty decent football. We got an unfortunate, well, I don't know if it was a draw or a loss away to Arsenal, but we were playing a pretty decent.
Yes, we were. That's true.
Pretty decent football with two strikers. Why we don't go back to that now? It's not my decision to make. Granted, it doesn't help that, or it helps that Antonio's not playing right now, but yeah, we just have to figure out a way to get him as much service as possible.
But do you adapt? Let me ask you. So we've backed ourselves into a corner because we only have one true striker now, and really, even Antonio's not really a striker. He's just been really very effective there, the way Arnautovic was for us. But now that he's injured, we have one true striker. So, but do you move the whole team around to suit one guy? I mean, just philosophically, or do you say to that one guy, do your job? Not to sound like Belichick, but who's, by the way, not doing his job this year. But anyway, do you say to that one guy, suck it up, Sebastian, do your job. Don't listen. Because I think what Vern says here actually is I think this is very true. He gets frustrated. I'm going to tell you in all honesty, I've worked with a lot of French guys, and that's kind of how they get. I'm stereotyping, but it's a little bit true.
Yeah.
And they decide I'm done, and this isn't working for me. I'm gonna I'm gonna sort of throw in the towel. But I mean, is that the kind of club we are? Are we gonna? Is the sun going to revolve around the earth, or is the earth going to revolve around the sun? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I see him being like our Pogba. If you look at someone like Man U, they got Paul Pogba. They spent all that bloody money on him, and he just doesn't quite fit. They got to bend their whole formation to get him in.
Right,
and it's to the detriment of the team. So I mean,
yeah, I think
unless we now here's a thought. All right, just let me throw this one out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Given that it looks like Chelsea are going to come in for Declan Rice in January, please, dear God, no. If it does happen, how about this for a 3-5-2 formation? So our current back three. Right, wing backs of Masuaku and Sufal. Oh my God, Brain, come on, Brain, help me out.
Don't say Mark Noble. Don't say Mark Noble.
No, not Noble. Bloody hell. Our other Czech.
Souček.
Yeah. Souček in a holding central role. Bowen. Ben
Sorry.
on the left. And then a front two of Antonio and Haller. How about that for a 3-5-2?
I mean, listen, it sounds workable to me. I just don't want to lose Declan Rice. And I'm going to tell you right now, we could talk about this actually. I don't think we'll sell him. I don't think we'll sell him. Because as you said, John has said this many times. Well, you make the point. You always make the same point, John. You make the point. He's the most valuable asset we have as a club.
Oh.
I saw this thing that popped up on the West Ham page on Bleacher Report, and I was gonna, if I could work it into the stream, I was going to, because it's funny because it sounds exactly like a summer transfer rumor from just a random source who's just trying to get clicks. It says, according to multiple reports, Chelsea are set to make another offer for Declan Rice in January.
But they never made one to begin with. Yeah,
that's one. And it says, with the West Ham player seemingly keen to move to Stamford Bridge. And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, he is the captain of West Ham. Why would any captain want to go to a team and not be the captain? And two, he can be our centerpiece. You talk about building a team around somebody. He could be the person that we build a team around.
Yes.
Right now he's playing, quality football. He's starting for England and stuff like that. Talk about effort for hilarious is the second picture. So I thought that was kind of funny. But yeah, no, I mean, it's regardless of who we have in the club, who we're selling, who we're not selling, we have to play a strategy that benefits all 11 people, including the goaltender. You know, because if you don't, and at that point, there's like, why would you even do it? You know, you look at Sheffield United last year, came out of nowhere and almost finished in the European spot because they played a system that benefited everybody.
Right.
You know, so it's just dumb not to do it.
Yeah, and I agree. The only problem I have, and it's not with you at all, Sully. What Vern says here makes a lot of sense to me. I mean, if Antonio could just give us reliably 30 to 35 league games, you know what I mean? But he can't. He won't. He never does.
Yeah.
And so I do think what Vern says here about a plan B, and you guys have talked about this too, but I'm just pointing out the comment. There does have to be a plan B. To me, with Haller, listen, everything you all said makes sense. Let's set him up so that he gets the service he expects. Maybe we start Benrahma instead of Fornals, or we play a style where we push forward. We're not so defensive. We're not on the counter all the time. But I got to tell you, the guy's got to come through. Do you know what I mean? The guy's got to come through. I mean,
he has to do his part for sure.
He's got to do his part and score goals, or at least put out the effort to score goals. So, because it's true, we can't rely on Antonio being there all the time. He's going to miss chunks of the season. I hope he won't, but he probably will.
We'll just dump him and buy Aguero or someone like that.
Yeah, that'll be fine. I wanted to buy Josh King.
Balotelli on a free right now.
Do what?
For Antonio.
You get Balotelli on a free right now.
You know I've wanted Balotelli at West Ham for years.
No, please no.
Yes. Balotelli at West Ham.
I don't want him at West Ham either. But
immediate shirt purchase on my part with Balotelli on the back. Oh yes, there's no question about that. No. He's he'd be right. He'd be perfect in the West Ham way. He'd be the next Di Canio, right? He's Italian. He's Italian. He's a fiery Italian. He's like Di Canio. He'd fit right in. He'd be fine. No, Balotelli, all for it. Big fan. But yeah, no, there does have to be a plan B, which we don't have, and we also don't have a striker B. That's another problem. This is why I wanted Josh King, right, instead of Benrahma. Benrahma maybe a better player. Josh King filled a need that we had that Benrahma did not fill, and maybe we can get Josh King in January. I don't know. That seems like a possibility, but we have to make it to January. Before that. But back to Declan. I mean, this Italian gentleman who apparently is a reporter of some sort. What's his name? Fabrizio something. He's all over Twitter. He says Chelsea's going to come in with an offer. Of course, we heard that in the summer, the fall, and it didn't happen. He says Declan wants a move. I don't even believe that. I mean, I'm not saying he wouldn't go, but I don't see him forcing a move. I don't see him being unhappy at West Ham at all. His effort doesn't show that. His comments don't show that. I mean, so I personally think we keep Declan, but I do think we sell him next summer because I think the money will just be too big and the temptation will be too great. Yeah, I mean, Josh King's available in January. Yeah, right. I would bring him in. He's not even that expensive. I would bring him in. What do you guys think about Declan? Is he going to stay? Would you like him? If you were Declan Rice, was he 21? Do you trust West Ham to give him the kind of career he could have at a top 6 club, Champions League football and everything else? Do you do what Rio Ferdinand did and what Joe Cole did and what Frank Lampard did and all the rest of them and, take off and go somewhere else?
Now, if I owned West Ham and I had a load of money and I had someone like Declan Rice at the club, and it looks like we're turning a corner. We're building something. We're building a system. We've got a philosophy across the team.
Yeah.
There's a definite, joining thread that's running through the team right now. I would now turn around and invest heavily to bring in the sort of players that can elevate, his performance and the whole team's performance, and actually have a crack at, competing for Europe and stuff. You're gonna, if you sell him, what are you gonna get? You're gonna get 80 million quid, 90 million quid if you're lucky, and then what do? You buy a couple of players that are half as good as him.
Buy an injured 40-year-old. Well, you bring an injured 40-year-old striker in on loan, first of all, and then you go out and you buy Carlos Sanchez and you buy these dudes we brought in, Faguli.
Or do we use our extensive scouting network to buy in a bunch of talented youngsters? Oh, wait.
We're
Yeah.
all part of the scouting network, by the way. We do as much scouting as anybody at West Ham does. If you watch YouTube videos of young footballers, you are officially scouting for West Ham.
You're
So,
scouting for West Ham, is it?
yeah,
Just
because that's all
at
anybody
West
does.
Ham, at West Ham when you see the video on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's how they know. You tag Jack Sullivan, and he passes it on to his dad.
If it were me, I would go all in to keep him. But given our current owners, their track record, and what's going on, we're going to lose him in January, or we're going to lose him in the summer. I don't know about January because the whole COVID thing has taken a lot of money out of football clubs. They're losing money hand over fist at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's an interesting thing is happening with sports in general, at least in this country, which I won't get into except just to briefly mention. TV viewership for sports is down across the board, even for the NFL. Everything is down, and in some cases, way down. And I'm wondering if people took 6 months off of sports and realized they don't need it or like it as much as they used to. I don't watch as much football. I'm talking about American football as I used to. I don't know. It's a strange thought. But anyway,
Me
go for
either.
that later
That's
on.
only because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, though.
You don't watch football at all. Yeah, you don't have any football to watch at all. Then you got some D'Annunzio at quarterback there. Well, you had my man Andy for a brief time. My guy from TCU, Andy Dalton, who getting up there in years, and he's got no offensive line, and he got his head knocked off, and then he ended up with this kid from James Madison who just looks. I could go out and probably have a quarterback rating not far off of his. I don't know, Sully, what do you think's going to happen with Declan? You got any thoughts? We talk about this all the time, and he's still here, but
I think if Declan goes, it's not going to be until the summer because that's when he's going to get the most amount of money from anybody who wants to buy him.
I agree.
Yeah. I think West Ham did take a positive step forward with him in making him the captain, and not just for like a game or two, but he's been a captain for a while.
I think that was big too. Yeah,
I think that was huge. Yeah,
I think it's huge.
It shows that you have faith in him and everything like that. But I mean, what's right now in this current footballing year, there's not much difference between West Ham and Chelsea. I mean, right now they have one more win than us.
Yeah,
less loss than us. I'm sorry, they have 4 more points. They're on 12, we're on 8.
Yeah,
but they're not in any better like footballing position than we are. They score a lot because they have a great attacking threat, but they also give up a lot.
they have a terrible keeper. Yeah,
their keeper's probably outside of Pickford, probably the worst in the league.
Yeah,
and if he goes to Chelsea, one, he's not going to be a captain. 2, he'll
be a center back. He'll be a center back.
And he'll be a center back, which sure he's used to or whatever. But he doesn't even play center back for England, so why would he want to play out of position for his club? But I mean, there are a lot of positives right now. I mean, granted, I would rip the past run of games we've had. The results that we've been getting are really great. The fact of the matter is that we're still at 14th, which is why these run of the next 3 games. It's
critical
for us right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it definitely sets the tone for the season, because we're technically, 4 spots away from relegation. Not that we're in any kind of battle right now with relegation, but at the same time, the slow start killed us. I
don't worry too much about the table, though, at this point, Sally, only because there's so few games, and we have had statistically the toughest start to any of any club in the Premier League. Statistically, it's not even close.
No, and
I'm glad we have 8. I thought we'd have 3 points max by now. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, we played admirably, which I think right there.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
positive for Declan to stay too, because you look at that run of games, how many teams get 8 points of them that aren't one of your regular top 6 teams, and even then, they might have a struggle with it, but just moving forward, at the end of the day, you just have to tell Declan, hey, which is not going to happen with GSB. This is your team. We're moving forward. And as of right now, lucky enough for the team is we're actually showing, bits of improvement. Last year at this time, I don't know if we have 8 points with this schedule. I have no idea.
No, I don't think so. No, especially after that Oxford loss, that terrible loss in the League Cup, we just tanked after that.
Yeah.
It's you never know what's going to happen with a young player. But one thing I'll say is I do think he loves West Ham, and that doesn't mean he'll stay. I think Rio Ferdinand loved West Ham too. I think a lot of our guys have over the years.
Yeah,
but I don't think he's pushing for. I don't think he's pushing for a move. You know, I don't see that happening.
No.
What,
If
John?
he-
What do you think?
If he was pushing for a move, he would have left in the summer already.
Right, right. He'd be gone. Yeah,
Easier time to get out of a club is in the summer. Transfer fees are lower.
right.
You know, he could have stopped playing. He could have showed his discontent. West Ham fans, I'm talking to you all. Please stop falling for big name, big headline. Stop it. It's just a nonsense cycle of disinformation just there to make you talk about it, retweet it, repost it, and get in your heads. Stop it.
I agree with that.
If you have a feeling that Declan Rice is unhappy at West Ham, go and watch the Manuel Lanzini goal celebration one more time, just to remind you what his face looked like when the ball went in.
There's nothing Declan has ever said or done to make him seem unhappy, ever.
No, it's nonsense. It's absolute nonsense, and it's only there because it's something to talk about. Somebody's trying to get famous off of retweets or whatever else. It's nonsense. And as far as keeping him, I agree with Stelly. I think this season he's going to see what happens this season. There's
Somebody wants you
building.
Somebody wants you to subscribe to the podcast or go and pay for the podcast, maybe. Maybe that's part of it.
Listen, I'm not going to go down that road, Lee.
No, I'm not either. But you know, it's true. All this in the know stuff is funny to me because honestly, if something happens, we'll know it. Okay. Do you know what I mean? If something happens, somebody like Sam Ingersoll, who's credible, will report it. We'll know that it's real. So it doesn't really matter whether you know it a day in advance or not. But yeah, we do. We are. Maybe all clubs are like this. I don't know. Hey, Tommy, how you doing? It's good to see you. I'm sorry we woke you up while you were asleep with the YouTube on. I don't know, but anyway, it's your deal. Yeah, all this business about rumors, and I'm sure all clubs have this to some extent, but we freak out big time over the smallest little mention of something. I mean, somebody says, "Oh, Chelsea might make a bid for Declan Rice." Oh, he's gone. Like, relax. I think making him captain was huge, as you all have said. I don't think he wants to leave. If he does, it'll be for money and trophies, and that's why players leave clubs. And if he does, I don't blame him. But I don't think it's going to be an easy thing to do. And Silly makes a really good point. I mean, there's no guarantee that Chelsea is a Champions League club this season. Maybe. I mean, they probably have the personnel. The manager's still unproven. This is a weird Premier League season. This is a weird season. It's strange. I mean, look at Manchester United. They're
below us.
Yeah, they're below us. They're really out of form. They lost to some club I'd never heard of today from Istanbul. Demba freaking Ba scored. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Demba Ba scored on him today. Remember Demba Ba, who by the way was a West Ham player the season we went down in 2011. That's 10 years ago. That he was a West Ham player. So this guy must be 35 years old at a minimum. So it's a weird season with the cutoff and the restart and no fans and all these other strange things that are happening. As David said, the weird financial consequences of COVID. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't. There's no solid guarantee that Chelsea ends up a Champions League club this season. Probably a better chance than we have. Yes, I'll grant you that, but there's no guarantee.
Yeah, I mean, when you have the likes of, I don't know if this is just like an early season boost or what, but Everton looks great. Wolves are always going to be a pest at the top of the table or, around there. I don't think Villa will stay up there, and I don't think Southampton will stay up there. But at the same time, regardless of if they're going to stay up there, the amount of goals that Chelsea gives up, they could lose. I mean, it's the Southampton game. They could drop points from anybody.
Sure, they could. We beat them twice last season. We took 6 points off of Chelsea last season.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, in this league, you never know what's going to happen. But at the same time, like you said, there are no guarantees.
Villa put 7 past Liverpool.
Yeah.
I mean, and Liverpool, that's the only loss Liverpool have. I mean, other than that, they've been in very good. They have the draw with Everton, and everything else has been a win. Excellent form. They look as though they could be champions again. 7 from Villa. Villa that stayed up last season because we decided not to play our last game and just trot around the pitch, and we gave them a draw.
I think we've got Sorry, I think
No,
he's
go ahead.
got a real chance of keeping Deck for at least another 3 years, and I think it's going to matter what we do over the next 3 years to do that. I think this is year one. There's something obviously going on in this team that feels good. There's momentum building, and there's a feel good factor around the club. If we can get through the season and have a good show and finish in the top half of the table, next summer reinvest, right, to make him want to be the captain of a team that's building, that's growing, and that's going to push for Europe. And if we can give him a taste of Europe in the next 3 years, there's no reason that we couldn't have him going into his early prime, 24, 25, 26. And that's when hopefully we'd have new owners with a bit more cash to splash around and could really make him the center of our team. But I think matching his ambition is so key in keeping him around that, step one is progress. And as long as we can show him progress, I don't think he has a reason to leave for us, to leave for anywhere right now, unless it's Champions League football and a cup. But I don't see that in his personality. I see him wanting to win those things. I see him wanting to win those things with West Ham first. And
I do too.
For him in 2-3 years, then I think he'll go.
I do. I see him wanting to win at West Ham too. I see a difference between him and other players we've had in the past who saw the academy as what is intended to be to a great extent, which is a springboard to a career. I mean, I think he wants to play for West Ham, likes playing for West Ham. He tweets about West Ham. He tweets his bros back and forth, his guy, Suchek, and he's big buds with Bowen now. He's got friends. I would, if he will stay around for 2 or 3 more seasons, I think you're right, John. If we can convince him, and by we I mean the club, can convince him to look long term, I have to believe this ownership does not hang around forever. All right, that there will be a time when they will sell, that they'll sell up, and Declan Rice could be in on the ground floor of the next Chelsea, the next Manchester City, or maybe not because it's West Ham and it might all fall apart, as we all know. But there's the potential for that to happen, and I hope he sees that.
One thing too, I mean, if we're able to match ambitions for Declan Rice, not only will it reinforce his want to stay, but it could also be a bigger inducing factor in having other players want to come to West Ham. And I just want to
absolutely
because I know I'm going to get a fat paycheck, but come to West Ham because they know that they have a chance at European football too.
I think if we use Slavia Prague as our academy team, which we seem to be doing right now, that seems like the best plan because every player they send us is fantastic and like tough and and I did. Somebody mentioned it earlier. There was a tweet, about the. Was it about the new center? Who was it about? Anyway, it was a West Ham related tweet, but the picture was of Patrick Mahomes. Did you see that, Sully?
No, I didn't. I saw the what he just said, what Tommy said, but no, or not Tommy.
Oh, I'm trying to find it. I'll never find it again. But there was a
Claret and Hugh.
It was probably Claret and Hugh. Inexplicably, a tweet about I don't know, some West Ham player we're chasing, and there was a picture of Patrick Mahomes like warming up. Where did they get that? I don't know where that came from, but it's funny though. It's funny. I'll never find it. I'll never ever find it again. But if I do, I'll show it.
It'd be good in the box when they aerial, battles.
Oh, listen, David, this argument. I'm sure you probably heard the Selly brothers before too. That if our athletes who become basketball players and American football players, if they were footballers, right, we would have we'd be the world's greatest footballing nation. No, there's an argument that like if you took LeBron James, right, if you took Patrick Mahomes, I'm not sure baseball players figure into this as much, but if you took Anthony Davis or some of these like really elite basketball players, American football players, arguably even some of the hockey players, and if you made them footballers from the time they're 6 years old, and that's all they concentrated on, this happens in the rest of the world, that we'd be the greatest footballing nation in the world.
Be up there.
We'd be up there. We'd be up there. Bill Simmons, and I've never been I was a big Bill Simmons fan many years ago when he wrote Just About Boston, but Bill Simmons came up with something back there I think it was the 2002 World Cup. He said before every American World Cup match, we should have President Bush come on and address the world and remind everybody that these are not our best athletes. like these are our third and fourth tier athletes. It's like, if we really wanted to win the World Cup, we would just turn our LeBron Jameses into footballers and we'd win the World Cup.
These kids aren't big enough to play football, the American football.
I think the US will win a World Cup before England wins the second one. That's my unpopular opinion.
I've heard that a couple times too.
I've heard that too.
People. It looks like they got a couple of youngsters that are doing really well in Barcelona and Juventus and other
Sergio Dest,
top clubs around the world. So, I mean, all they really have to Pulisic for that reason too. But
of course,
you just got to do it as a team, And I think right now, one thing that you're seeing for the men's national team is that they have a young core that they could definitely build upon. But you can't expect to do well in the World Cup when you can't consistently do well in your own.
When you can't even qualify out of CONCACAF.
Yeah, because you lose to El Salvador. It's like, okay.
Right. Lose to Trinidad. To be fair, it was Trinidad and Tobago. It was two against one. They had Trinidad and Tobago out there. So, but then we have 50 states, so we should have outnumbered them. I think we're a generation away. At a minimum, we're a generation away from being real contenders in the World Cup. 20 years. But, we came from nowhere in the 80s when I was a kid to a World Cup quarterfinal in 2002, and then we were pretty consistently a decent national team until this last World Cup. So you never know. You never know. Oh, it's Trevor. How you doing, Trevor? What's going on? It's Tebow. I haven't talked to Tebow in a long time. Good to hear from you. Glad y'all are doing well. I know England is. I think England's headed back into lockdown, if I'm not mistaken. So
tomorrow.
Right now, actually, if we're talking about time difference.
My mom's getting all my Christmas presents out tomorrow.
Oh, here it is. Look, okay, here it is. Fo sent this to me. All right, here we go. West, let me set this thing up here. West Ham News, 24/7. All right. Bear with us here for there it is.
Yeah.
West Ham News 24/7. For $50 million for Tarkowski to $1.5 million for Alves, and there he is, Patrick Mahomes, just hanging out.
I guess to be fair, he does kind of look like the player that we're getting.
I mean, kind of, except for his Kansas City Chiefs sweatshirt and being like probably one of the 5 most famous athletes in America.
Well, David Gold probably thinks it's Ogbonna, so it's fine.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Like Haller,
right.
Yeah, but the a little zoomed out. Yeah,
he does look a little bit like Haller. He does. Yeah, he does. But I mean, where they came up with this, I don't know. And it's still there. That's what's so funny. This is from 9 hours ago, and they're riding with it. So whatever, that's fine. Nice job, everybody. Good credibility there for Clinton. By the way, our background tonight is the.
When you've got that background, you're doing everybody a disservice.
It's the women's team, and you're not getting to look at it because you're looking at us instead. How do I take us off the? I don't know how I do this. Anyway, the background tonight is some of the players for the women's. They had a great win today. All right, the women's team won 3-0. They beat Reading in the what's it called, the Continental Cup or something like that, which is like it's kind of a league cup-ish type competition. Oh, now it's just me. Yeah, that's much worse. That's so much worse. Oh, that's terrible.
Well played, John. Well played.
Yeah, I don't remember how to do it, but anyway, I wanted to say congratulations to the women's team who had a good 3-0 victory. They had a rough start to the season in the league, but the Continental Cup is like it has a group phase, right? And then you move on to, it's not a pure cup like the League Cup where it's a knockout. It has a group phase, and you move on to a knockout phase. They got a good win over Reading today, so I was happy for them. Martha Thomas had 3 assists, and Alicia Lehman scored a goal, much to the delight of every male West Ham fan on Twitter. Alicia Lehman's picture was popping up after she scored a goal. So, but yeah, we're happy for that. Always support the women's team. And I will mention, because it's we're on the topic of women's football, that the TCU Horned Frog women's soccer team is now ranked number 3 in the country. All right, which means I'm sure that means they'll lose on Friday in their next game because I'm saying this, but
You're blowing them up.
very
now.
proud of our women's soccer team at TCU. They've had a great season, and
Go
whatever
Blue.
happens to them the rest of the way, I'm super proud. So
Antonio, actually, from what I was seeing, he signed a vest for the women's team. Gail Flat, I can't remember her name, but the captain for the women's team, he signed a sweater for her mom because she's battling breast cancer right now.
that's really nice. I think Antonio's a fantastic guy. There were stories when Arnautovic was at West Ham that he would disrupt the women's training, and he would make rude comments and stuff like that, and that's totally unacceptable to me. And it was one of the a lot of people disliked him for the way he left, but if I dislike him, it's because he did that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I've heard it's true. But yeah, we like the women's team a lot. It's good. It's really good, grassroots football. They don't get the big salaries. They really play for the love of the game. They play a fantastic version of the game. So anyway, don't acknowledge them enough. We should acknowledge them more often. So anyway, let's talk about Saturday, since Kieran is leaving us, so there's really no point in going on. But let's talk about.
You can't be the only one who tells Lee to wrap it up.
Kieran's good. Yeah, I know. I haven't even started wrapping it up yet, Kieran. So you might as well leave now because we got at least another half an hour to go. Because my wrap up is always 15, 20 minutes. You know that. Let's talk about Fulham. I always say the same thing. It's stupid to predict a score before you know the starting 11 or anything else. But given who will probably play, who they'll probably play, given that the icon, the legend, Scott Parker is coming back. He never left my heart. Okay, he never left my heart, but he's coming back to West Ham. What do you think the score is going to be? We could do it like you guys remember the old Sally might be too young. The old sketch about the Bears fan sketch on Saturday Night Live from years ago.
The Bears.
Yeah, those guys where they would have these predictions like, now let's say there's 11 tiny Ditkas. They're like 1 inch tall, 11 tiny Ditkas taking on the Giants. Who do you have? The Bears.
The Bears.
So if it were just Scott Parker against the entire West Ham squad, all 20 players, I would have to go with Scott Parker, obviously. But that's not how the game works. It'll be 11 versus 11. He doesn't play. So 11 versus 11, who do you think wins? And give me an idea of your score. Whoever wants to go for it.
4-1 to the Cockney boys.
Oof.
That's a lot of goals.
I
Who scores? Does Allaire score?
I think Haller.
You have to if you score 4.
I think Haller's going to bag 2. Here's my prediction: Haller for 2, Bone for 1, and Fornals for 1.
Okay.
Some random fluke Fulham goal because we're half asleep at the start of the second half.
It's a very specific and entirely reasonable take, actually. Sully, what do you think?
I think the first half is going to be pretty tough because I think Fulham will come into the match up for it, wanting to get a win for their manager, who obviously everybody at West Ham loves. And I think,
not everybody. I do, but not everybody does. But yeah.
Sure, yeah. I guess majority of people.
Because he went to Spurs, that's why. But anyway, so did Martin Peters. Let's not forget about that.
Right, but I think they'll be up for it. I think the first half will be kind of, not sloppy, but just kind of slow, filling each other out. I think probably 1-0 West Ham at halftime, but then we get 2 more and let in a leaker. So I think 3-1 for West Ham.
All right, I like what I'm hearing. I'm hoping all this happens. Juan, what do you think?
That's very continental
I've
of you.
decided to go bilingual. Okay, Juan, que penses-tu? That's French. I don't know. Anyway, whatever. What do you think, John?
Pulling it all ultimately.
I got it. It's all the languages I got. Everybody say PSG. I can say PSG a few times. People like when I do that.
Take a drink.
My boys from Saint Etienne, by the way, are in a whole lot of trouble, and I'm really worried about them. So you guys, if you say a little prayer to the football gods, okay, because they're really hurting. Anyway, what do you think about West? What do you think about us on Saturday?
I am going to make a point that I neglected to make earlier, but I was thinking of it when I think Sally was saying something. But this game, I think there's a lot of pressure actually on this that's not being talked about.
I do too. I'm glad you said that.
I think that we've got through the quote unquote hard part of the schedule.
Yep.
I think that there's a lot of expectation out there now. about what kind of team we are and what we can do. And I think that's also why we do not change the formation. We do not try new tactics. I think we start with the same team, the same formation that we did the last game. I think we played the same tactics that we tried to play the last game, but hopefully move them up the field a little bit. And I think it's going to be a little bit cagey to begin with, to be honest.
I do too.
It's going to be a team that is going to have to get used to actually dominating possession, because that's what we should be doing. They're not used to doing that after the first few games of the season. And it's a team that's going to have to grow comfortable with being on the ball and not always playing counterattack and having to break down another team, which isn't necessarily something we've done, not off the counterattack. So my want is that we go into halftime 2-0 up, and that allows us on the 60th minute to start, trying different systems and bring Benrahma on and do some other stuff that would give us the freedom to explore other options.
Yep.
That's what my heart wants. My head is telling me, hopefully we go into halftime 1-0 up and we can just get a 2-0 win. Let's just get a win on the boards and start our run against the quote unquote, easier teams. Just get it going the right way, and the other things will come.
Yeah. I actually like your take a lot. One, because I'm a pessimist at all times. And two, I mean, that's not just about West Ham, that's about life in general. But I actually think we're going to struggle big time in this game. And I would almost bet my house on us going down 1-0 in the first half. I think our intensity level has been extremely high for every game except Newcastle. And I absolutely see this as a trap game, as we say in American sports, where you have a tough run of games, and then there's one that looks like an easy game, and then you have another tough run ahead. I see it as a trap game. I can absolutely see us going down and struggling in the first half. I actually don't think we'll win this game. I know that sounds crazy. I think that Allaire will struggle. I hope he doesn't. Obviously, hope he doesn't. I'm a fear that he will. I think that we'll struggle to score, and I can see it finishing like 1-1 and being a huge disappointment. I can see us actually having to come back and pull even, at some point late in the second half. I think Fulham they're terrible defensively. I really don't think they're very good players, just to be honest. But it's hard for me to say that we're going to lose, but I could definitely see this being a letdown. David knows what I'm talking about. I can see this being a letdown. So, but I always say that, you know what I mean? I always think I always predict some sort of disaster. But don't you think there's a certain amount of pressure here to not be West Ham and to actually play better than an inferior opponent?
I think we've turned the corner.
Do you think it's a new West Ham, really?
I think we've turned the corner. I think we found something after lockdown last season that stayed with us. We had that one little hiccup with Newcastle. But since
right after the Grady sale, which I think affected the team.
Yes, yeah, absolutely,
yeah.
But look at the performances. Arsenal, we lost it, but we played really well, right?
Yeah.
Wins, draws, wins, and then even against Liverpool, we were unlucky to come away with nothing from that. You don't put I've seen us get up for one or two big games before when we were sort of up and down West Ham, but to put that many good performances together in a row tells a story. I think we've turned the corner. Touch wood.
I hope so. I'm with Foe. I can't predict a win because it's absolute guaranteed death if I predict a win. So I don't ever do that anymore. But yeah, I hope so. We had this discussion, David, the other day, a couple of weeks ago. I think Sally was with us. Like, is this a new West Ham? You know what I mean? Or is this the same? It feels different, right? Because we've had a good run of form because we came out with 8 points out of games when we thought we'd have maybe 1 or 2 at the most. Because we've been consistently competitive, because we've taken, we've hit some of these big clubs in the teeth. I mean, in particular, that showing against Tottenham where we had the 3 goals in 10 minutes, 12 minutes, whatever it was. I mean, that is not a very West Ham thing to do.
I'm still
these young
about that, by the way.
Oh, I watched the goal probably 300 times a day, just over and over. And I'm not ashamed of it. I just do it over and over and over again. But even Liverpool, again, we got a little bit of lucky. It feels like a new West Ham, but that's why I'm absolutely so sure that it's not. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm always a pessimist. I will say this though: if we do not win this one, John's baby is requiring attention. We all understand that, so he said he'd be right back. Totally understandable. I know how that goes. If we don't win this game, there's going to be a meltdown, like like we haven't seen in a long, long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like David was saying, we've put together a good run of games to where there's nothing that necessarily makes me nervous as to the way that we attack this game, at least mentally. I don't think that there's any reason for us to set up for the counter against Fulham. I do think that it's one of
there's
the
not. Yeah,
that we can impose our will on.
But do we know how to do that? I mean, do we know how to do that?
I mean, if we're going to have any kind of say in what we do this year, we're going to have to figure it out. I understand against the top teams, maybe you have the counterattack mentality, but it makes sense because they just have more talent than we do. But at the same time, against the teams that we can actually throw our body around and do what we want to do, we have to do that because that's the one. Once you give a team that is quote unquote the underdog any hope in the game, then it's it becomes dangerous. That's just what happened with us against against Tottenham. We got one goal in, and it's like, okay, maybe we could get a second, and then they got their own goal, and it was over for them. Once that own goal went in,
absolutely agree, 100%.
The third was
there was no way we weren't scoring again. Yep.
Yeah,
totally
exactly.
right. Totally right.
Once you give a team that doesn't have any business being in the game a reason to stay in the game, it's nasty, and especially in this league, because Fulham. Because I know we were linked with almost any European player in the world over the summer, but
that's true
for a couple windows with the striker from Fulham.
Right, Mitrovic.
This will be one of those games where he messes around and gets 2 goals on us, and we're like, oh, why didn't we go for him, kind of thing. So
yeah,
but I don't necessarily see that happen.
I think Foe has a good point here, actually, believe it or not. I think
it's where he'll earn his contract extension is like winning these games.
But Selly, it's funny because we say this, and I don't really think we say this a lot in football, but in American sports, we say this. In American football, we say you can't let them hang around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You watch a college game and the underdog is within a touchdown in the third quarter, and it's like, now it's dangerous because they have belief, because they think they can do it. You let them hang around. You let Fulham hang around. I mean, they are in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? This is not a League One team. They're capable of winning.
There's one thing I heard in college football was that the other team's on scholarship too.
Right.
They get here for no reason.
Right, they're professional.
I mean, they're not. Yeah, I mean, granted, they're not one of the better teams in the Premier League, but they made it. And that wasn't a fluke. You have to put a whole season together to make it to that point, and they did.
Absolutely, and and we know the Championship is a very tough league.
Right.
It's physically and emotionally exhausting. It's a lot of games. It's a lot of pressure. They went through the playoffs. They did it the fun way. They didn't do it the easy way. They did it the fun way, the way we did 10 years ago, or 9 years ago, whatever it was. So yeah, they got that win last week, and I think they're going to come in with some confidence. So, the whole idea that we're going to just tonk them, I would take anything, any victory, any 3 points. David's sticking with it.
I think that first half is definitely going to be tough and pretty ugly, but I think once teams settle in, we should be okay.
Yeah, and Vern makes a good point. I mean, this is something that I've noticed too. When things go against us, the heads don't drop. We've talked about that all season, and I have felt that way against every team. I mean, the Tottenham was the best example, but even against Arsenal, even against Liverpool, when we conceded late, we finished off those games competing. You know what I mean? We didn't just, and Tottenham down 3-0. I guarantee you, last season's West Ham team before the restart, we go down 3-0 to Tottenham, and which we did last season at one point, by the way. I know it finished 3-2, but Ogbonna scored in like the 96th minute. But we go down 3-0 to Tottenham, and it's over. You know what I mean? It's all over. So I do see a lot of confidence in our team. I do see a different spirit in our team, in our squad. But this, but again, this worries me too. It's a weird season, no fans. And Fulham have they have no pressure. They're not even expected to stay up, So I think we have to score early and score first. Yeah, definitely. We don't want to chase this game. We don't want to chase this game with these guys. We don't want to get behind these guys, get desperate, start hoofing the ball up, a bunch of long balls, have Haller be more isolated. It's tricky. It's trickier than it seems, I think. It's trickier than it seems, but
yeah, I agree with what Vernon just said too about Fulham will start strong, but as soon as we score, then they'll capitulate. So
totally
early, and I agree 100%. It's the easiest way to get a team with any kind of confidence in a game out of it was just show them hey, you don't belong here, and we're going to show you exactly why.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that's what we have to do. If we put in the kind of performance that we've put in since the Arsenal game, we will win this game because we're a better team. If we show up and we play the way we've played the last 6 games, we'll win this game because we're a better team. Are we capable of doing that against a Fulham? I don't know. That's my question. I have no idea. I don't know. But I don't know. What is Fo telling us here? Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing we have to do. This was what Sam Allardyce was so good at doing, was just grinding out results against the mid-table and lower-table clubs. That's one of the reasons I think why he's so effective as a manager. He just, he grinds out those 1-0s, over and over and over again. Moyes, I think we're gonna find out. This may be a little bit of a reach, but
I'm here for it.
Leicester did it. I do think that there's going to be some interloper into the top 6 this season. I really do. I think there's going to be an outsider, like a Wolves maybe, or somebody like that. I know we beat Wolves 4-0, and that seems weird to say, but I can see a Wolves, or could be Leicester again. I think there's going to be,
or West Ham.
Listen, if we play up to our potential, it's possible. It is.
If we play up to the amount that everybody gets paid on this team, there's a reason we should finish below 7th place.
Absolutely, yeah. If they play up to their potential and to their salaries, yeah. I mean, there's no reason why we shouldn't at least qualify for Europe. It could be us,
Yeah, by Esther Gugu again, yeah.
Fingers
crossed. That's the thing, is Kajagoogoo will knock us out of the Europa League again, and we'll have to go. You have a game in the middle of July, and in Estonia or something, which is the worst part about that. Well, it's the NIT, right? It just costs money. It doesn't make money. It just costs money. It's
right.
It's like going to a minor bowl game. You know what I mean? It's like going to the.
Going to watch a G League game.
Yeah, it's like going to the Independence Bowl or something.
The Doritos Bowl.
Right, exactly. The Independence Bowl in Shreveport. You ever been to Shreveport?
No.
It's not great. My wife has family there. It's not great. So congratulations on a great season. You're off to Shreveport. Congratulations on finishing 6th in the Premier League. You're off to I don't know, Kazakhstan or something.
Latvia.
Yeah. You're off, yeah, exactly. You're off to one of the stands. You're going to a stand.
Yeah, and that's one of those things too, to where any club that finishes in Europe would have to make that trip, and there's no excuses for having to go to Estonia in the middle of July. You got to do it. You got to play, against who's in front of you.
Yep.
And because at the end of the day, you lose to Astro Google. Well, guess what? They had to come to London in a packed stadium, and they won.
That's true, and they won.
So, I mean, there's no reason that we can't go to anywhere else and not get a positive result, because I think that was a pretty decent cup run up until that point for us, wasn't it? If I'm not mistaken. Or at least we got 2 wins.
It was pretty. I think we beat a team from Malta or something.
Yeah, I think we had 2 wins, and they were the third. Yeah, we got.
Yeah. I think we beat the team from Malta and a team from I don't remember. Anyway, small countries, but yeah, I mean, we should have done better. We should have done, and they knocked us out 2 seasons in a row, if you remember.
Yeah,
because we made Europe in the Fair Play League. Was that still exist, by the way? I don't. The Fair Play League, which is where
just fair play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do that anymore. You get to Europe. Maybe somebody in the chat room knows. Can you get to Europe through the Fair Play League anymore? Somehow we had a season when we had the fewest cautions, the fewest disciplinary issues, and because of that, we actually got a place in Europe through the Fair Play League. Anyway, then that next season we lost to Kajagoogoo, and then after that was the Payet season when we legitimately got into Europe. Finished 7th, but the FA Cup thing bumped us into Europe, and we lost to him again.
Yeah.
Hate those guys. Astroglide, whoever they are, Astrogoo. I shouldn't be so disrespectful, but Smo says no, it doesn't exist anymore. I didn't think so. I don't think it existed anymore because I haven't heard of it in a long time. So, all right. Well, we may have lost John to his. Oh no, he's back.
Oh, he's back.
He's back. Yeah, he's back. How is she, John?
I think she's all right now. She was just a bit fussy.
How old is she now?
9.5 months and about 9.5 teeth coming through. So.
Oh yeah.
Stroppy.
The toughest. I mean, I don't know. My boys are 10 and 7, so we have a long way to go, hopefully. But the toughest part, I think, is those baby years. Baby months, I should say, when they're totally dependent. You know what I mean? You have kids, David?
Nah.
Okay, but when they can't do anything at all, and it's like, I thought it was going to be fun. It gets to be fun later on, but those first that first year is hard, and the teething is brutal. Yeah, I'll tell you what you do now. Irish Tommy knows. You take a little bit of whiskey, rub it on her gums. You know what I mean? That'd knock her right out.
A little bit of fluid in the milk or something.
Yeah. Exactly. You put a little. Or you could always just Benadryl her.
Yeah.
Well, I was starting to show her videos of the Allardyce years, and that seemed to get her off pretty quickly. So,
show her that 1-0 against Hull, the win against Hull where he got booed afterwards. One of my favorite West Ham games of all time. Ken, I haven't seen Ken in a long time, but Ken and I watched that game up in his house. I've never felt so drained after a victory before, and a victory really needed, by the way. But he cupped his ear to the crowd as they booed. Yeah, those were good times. Anyway, I'm running out of steam here. It's been a long week already, and it's Wednesday. You guys want to throw anything out for us before we go?
I would just like to say a little shout out to our guys. Even though we lost last weekend, we had a wonderful time. We had a really good turnout, and we completely drowned out the Scousers that were in the pub.
Of course you did. There's never any doubt about that. Yeah. Where do you go? Where's your pub?
The Winchester, which is on Broadway in Alamo Heights.
Okay.
It used to be a Line and Rose, if you've ever been in San Antonio.
Okay. The Winchester. All right. In Alamo Heights. So you guys going to be there on Saturday again?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good times. Excellent. All right. So if you're in San Antonio, first of all, consider yourself lucky. It's a fantastic city. But secondly, go to the Winchester. Yeah, enjoy it. All right. Well, this is a remarkably short show by my standards. But I am wrapping up for real this time. Listen, everybody in the chat room, appreciate you being on. Trevor, Tebow, it's good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while, and I'm glad you're on. David up in New Hampshire, my neighbor up in Manchester. Glad to see you as well. Everybody who was there, Beta Lee, everybody. Ray Force was on for a minute with us there. Ray in Liverpool. So when is the next party in Boston or New Hampshire? I mean, I don't know. We had a place we were trying to go in Hudson. which looked like it might work, especially since it had an outdoor bar, which was kind of cool. But they don't open early enough for most of the games, and they seemed a little unenthusiastic about opening early enough for most of the games. So, not sure that was going to work out. But anyway, so John in Philly, David in San Antonio, and of course Selly in Rocky Mountain High, Colorado. Thanks as always for being on. And
Lee,
plug what?
Friday Night Lights this Friday.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'm sorry. Yes. Okay.
Regular time, 8 o'clock. Also, taking any questions that you can send my way. So if anybody has any questions that you want to hear on Friday Night Lights, please send me, hit me up on Twitter and send the questions in. I will consider them if they're of high enough quality. And thank you to Fo and Tebow for the question they submitted last week. But I can use the help, so send them in.
Yes, Friday Night Likes. And yes, by the way, I have a blanket that I'm wrapped up in case you're wondering what this is. There's no heat in my office, so I use a little. I'm like an old lady with a blanket. Anyway, yeah, Friday Night Likes. Okay, is it 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock? 8 o'clock.
8
o'clock. Okay. Friday Night Likes, 8 o'clock Eastern, which is I don't know what time that is now in the UK. But anyway, 8 o'clock Eastern. Friday Night Likes. Your host.
It's like 2 in the morning.
2 in the morning, yeah.
2 in the morning. Worth staying up for or watching later on. Your host on this side of me here, John Nolan, Hammer Shots champion, Friday Night Likes host, all around good guy as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, I know it's weird. You have to point the opposite direction. It doesn't make any sense. See, I'm doing it. See, it looks like I should be doing it the other way, but I'm pointing at him instead. So, John, yeah, Friday Night Likes. I think. By the way, also, I think Katie's doing her show tomorrow. Is that right, John?
Should be. Yeah, she's doing regular Thursdays now.
Yeah. Well, I know all you Philly people know each other, so yeah, Katie. Katie does a great show now where she interviews a West Ham fan, like what we started doing when we started the network, a couple of years ago. She interviews a West Ham fan and just talks about the person's experience, and so she'll be doing that tomorrow night. And then John on Friday night, 8 o'clock. We have it's a whole network. It's a whole television network. You never have to watch Netflix again. Cut your cable, cut your Netflix. All right. Cut everything, just watch this. This is all you need. In the meantime, thanks for being here and come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you guys.